Hey everybody, welcome back to Nerd News Today. I'm Matthew, and today we're taking a look at some more Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles action figures. I am so happy about this. Today we're taking a look at Loyal Subjects versions. I think these days, for the most part, when we think about Ninja Turtles figures, most collectors tend to think about either NECA or Playmates. But there is another company who's basically disrupting a lot of the action figure stuff these days and has been for a few years now, and that's the Loyal Subjects. And that is who we're looking at right now, because this right here is the latest wave of Loyal Subjects Best Action Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles figures. If you are someone who's unfamiliar with the Loyal Subjects and their Best Action line, what they essentially are 5-inch figures, which is kind of breaking the norm of what we're seeing most time with 6-inch figures or 7-inch figures. We're getting a slightly smaller sized figure, but with amazing articulation, a great amount of accessories, and really just a really nice look. So this Best Action figures finally gives us our first version of April O'Neil in the line. We're also getting a new version of Casey Jones. We're getting Rocksteady in his thug look. And for me, most importantly, we're getting Slash, who is one of the best characters in, for me at least, the Archie comics especially, but also the cartoon. He showed up a few times there. So yeah, I got a lot of fun memories about all these characters, especially playing with them as toys when I was a little kid. But these are not Playmates toys from the early 90s and late 80s. This is a whole different ball game now. So what we're going to do in this video is I've already actually reviewed each of these figures separately. So that's what this video is going to be. It's going to be a compilation of those reviews. And then at the end, I'm going to give my collective thoughts about the line and everything else that I missed in those singular reviews. So we're going to do these figures one by one and then get them all together for my final thoughts on this line and the series as a whole. And by the way, I do want to point out, I happen to have two of the variants in this wave. So Casey Jones is coming in a black and white version, which I have here, and Slash is coming in a glow-in-the-dark version. So there are two variants out there to keep an eye out for. So without further ado, let's kick some shell, get these figures out of the boxes, and take a closer look at them from all angles. Cowabunga. Alright, and here is our Slash figure now out of the packaging. And initial thoughts are, this is a really good looking version of Slash. You know, I actually went back before I did this review and I watched his appearances in the original Turtles cartoon just to get some more information about him and kind of just remember who he was like more so. Because again, most of my thoughts about the character really were influenced by the Archie comics more than the cartoon. And to be quite honest, I kind of think I did prefer Slash in the comics way more after watching the cartoon again, but he's still a really fun character and such a cool design also. Now, I do want to point out right now for this review, you're going to probably see me leaning Slash a lot on this backdrop here, and that's because, unfortunately, Slash does not have any like peg holes for his feet for bases, and he is a turtle, so he's very, very back heavy. So it's a little difficult to keep him standing, especially because, to be fair, the table I'm doing this review on is a little uneven also. This backdrop here, it's a little uneven. So I believe on a flatter surface, you're going to have a much easier time getting Slash to stand and stay standing. But do keep in mind, because of the weight of this shell, he will have some issues. So you're going to have to do a little bit of work to keep him standing. But initial thoughts, though, again, it's like looking at Loyal Subjects figures, it's just such a treat. They've got so much great articulation, so much great sculpting detail, lots of accessories now. This one is really just like all the others, and that's a very, very good thing. So let's start this video first by talking about the likeness of Slash here. And does it look like Slash from the cartoon? Yeah, totally it does. This doesn't look like Slash from the toys. The toys were, well, frankly, a lot cooler version of Slash in the cartoon than he was here. But as far as like the cartoon look goes, this is spot on. They nailed it. I'd say they did just as good of a job as NECA did, if not maybe a little bit better. You know, it's kind of hard to compare because they are different sized figures, different types of work essentially. But I really like what the Loyal Subjects did here with this version of Slash. I also appreciate all the little warts they sculpted onto his face, which is cool. I like how his teeth look. Of course, I like the little metal bandana thing for his eye. It's really cool. So he looks perfect. And I could say the same thing too about his body as well. You know, I think even the way the body looks is pretty much just like pulled straight from the cartoon here. So really no complaints about any of that. In fact, if we want to like take a little bit closer look at the body too, let's do that. We can show off his really cool Slash shoulder pads. He has, of course, the black elbow pads. We have the nice metallic armor on his hand as well. It looks like Slash is giving a thumbs up right now. Shouldn't be, but he is. I've always loved the belt buckle that they gave Slash with a skull on it. That's such a fun little thing. This is just stuff that basically Bebop and Rocksteady found around the Terrordrome. They just like threw it onto Slash. So it's kind of impressive they found all this random crap that just fit him perfectly. But they did somehow. Same thing too with the pointy knee pads. Great work here. Also, those feet are really, really cool too. I just like the way the feet look. Body-wise too, he is a turtle. He is a giant turtle. He's a giant turtle from Dimension X. But, the body, the shell part here looks really nice. The color is also very good. Now, I should add too, since this is a glow-in-the-dark version, the skin tone on the Slash is going to probably be a little bit different than the skin tone on the normal release. I think the normal release is probably going to be a more deeper shade of green. This one has to glow in the dark, so it's going to look a little bit different. And we'll show you how the glow in the dark looks a little bit later on, I think. But for the most part, just great all around. Man, and let's talk about that back too, because I showed you that earlier, talking about how it was the bane of his ability to stand up straight. But that back is awesome too. That shell is like so cool. It's spiky, great texture all around it, very clean, even paint job. That's another thing too. If you want to talk about all of the Loyal Subjects figures, they do not have problems with paint, you guys. Spot on. Like, I don't see any slop really anywhere. If there is, it's like the most minimal amount. Even in like the joints, where that would be an easy spot to have some of that, don't really see that issue. So across the board, just excellent job, Let's talk also about articulation, since we're up close and personal with Slash right now, and he supposedly has 31 points of articulation. Let's find out right now. Let's take Slash to a chiropractic session right now, and there we go. Okay. I was wondering if his neck was going to make a nice snapping noise like a Diamond Select figure did, but it does not. So head is ball jointed but extremely stiff. So get yourself a hairdryer, folks. You're going to want to get that a little heated up before you do much with it. The rest of the joints seem to be actually fairly malleable, though. Let's see, so we have ball jointed shoulder, which looks like it has a butterfly joint in there. Yeah, you guys can see it right there as a butterfly joint. But he does have this turtle shell, so it's going to hinder a little bit of that articulation towards his body, but out of the body, okay, the shell is actually what's going to cause a little bit of problems moving him beyond that. So the butterfly joint's almost kind of not needed here, but it will add a little bit of articulation, so that's nice. We do have the bicep swivel and double jointed elbows, so that's really nice. So he'll be able to hold the gun in some cool poses, hopefully. The wrists can bend and flex, that's great. No waist articulation to speak of because he has this turtle shell here. The legs have not great range of motion. That's again because he does have this giant shell in the way, so you can't expect much from it. Thigh cut, so we got some leg rotation there, double jointed knees, and ankle rotation. So I don't know about 31. It definitely has the makings to get that amount of posability and articulation, but he does have a few hindrances that'll get in the way. So I got Slash to stand up right now. I feel very lucky, and I'm so afraid to move anything, but unfortunately I kind of have to. So let's slide Slash down for a second and pray that he can stay standing. He is. Cool. See, I told you guys. You gotta just find a flat surface, he'll be fine. So every Best Action figure comes with a Best Action sticker, and there's a lot of different variations of them, as you'll see throughout the videos of the Turtles. So we got ourselves a Best Action sticker. It's a nice little free bonus. And speaking of other cool extra value free bonuses, we got a trading card. And this is a great trading card, you guys. There's not many companies out there doing trading cards for action figures anymore. McFarlane is the only one I can think of, and to be honest, those cards kind of suck. They suck a lot. But these Best Action cards are really good. Like the ones they did for the Avatar figures we looked at a little while ago were pretty good. These, though, are a step above. I mean, this is like the perfect 90s trading card, just like the random kind of foil chrome look on it. Great image of the character as well. And then in the back, too, even. Again, it's basically just showing us what we saw in the back of the box of the figure. But again, you get ourselves a nice bio, a picture of the figure glowing in the dark also. So great card. Excellent card here. I'm excited to see how the rest of them are going to look throughout this series. And I just got to, again, go back to this gimmick of how shiny and chrome it is. That's perfect. Love this look. Great, great. All right, cool. So that's the cards and the stickers. But let's talk about some of the weaponry he has, because Slash has a bunch. That includes this giant backpack right here, which, to be fair, I never quite understood what it did, even in the cartoon when he used it. This was from his second appearance in the show when he got all smart and high-tech briefly. So he has this giant backpack, which, let's see if we can put it on our Slash right now, in fact. Let's see. Get the arm out. You can actually see there's some scratch marks on the back of it. There we go. Okay. It actually does kind of fit right around his shell. So yeah, he was actually basically designed to wear this. Now, I don't know how it's going to keep him from standing now, unfortunately, because it is going to probably make him a little bit harder to balance. But we'll see what we can do here with this Slash. So in addition to this backpack here, we have two other weapons for him. We have this laser blaster pistol thing here. I don't quite remember what this was called. Because again, I think this was from the second appearance that Slash made. So we have a smaller kind of blaster, which will fit in his hand. We'll check momentarily. And then we also have this larger one here. This one, I think shot wind and snow for some reason, because, every bad guy needs a thing that shoots wind and snow. But, great choices for accessories here. I like what they did. But what we can note, it's missing from the weapons right away, is Slash's dual katanas. Because Slash did have two swords, but in addition to the two swords, he also is missing his binky. His binky, which is his little palm tree, his little plastic palm tree that Bebop said he loved so much. And unfortunately, we don't get it here. Now, NECA did include it, so if you want a binky, that's going to be really the only way to get it, I guess, right now. But yeah, this Slash does not include his swords or his little binky, but it does give us some weapons I don't think NECA gave us. So at least that's something to kind of consider a swap out for. And we also have two additional hands here, which I don't think we're going to really need to try on today. And I've tried in the past. The hands do come out very easily. They go in and out super smoothly. But he already has his trigger hands on, so I kind of just want to see if we can get some of these in his... Oh, let's actually, you know what, we'll do a swap out, because I think that singular blaster requires this hand here. And you guys saw how easy that popped out. And this hand should go back in just as easily. It's a little hard to do it on camera, but there we go. And now we should just be able to slide this blaster pistol thing. It's going to be a very firm grip, but there we go. Okay, that's okay. It's pretty much in there. I will say this backpack thing is kind of sliding around him. I'm wondering if there's like a certain way to get it to fit in him better, because there are like little holes in the back. So I don't know if that's meant to attach to any specific shell marks, because it feels like it is as I play with it a little bit. But this strap is so huge, it's hard to really say what to do with this thing. But either way, as far as the blaster goes, in his hand, it's looking really nice there. So that was easy too. Let's try now to get the other one in his hand here, because this has got two handles. I think it's going to be a little bit more difficult, but let's find out. And again, thanks to that double jointed elbow and the butterfly joints, which even if they can't move a ton, they still move enough that should be able to get this in his hand and make it look like he actually is holding it. And there we go. With a little bit of work, you can get it into his hands, and he is holding this weather blaster. You can definitely get it into his hand better than I have it here, but just to, you know, show it for the sake of getting on camera really quickly, there you go. So yeah, the one downside though is this stupid backpack. Unfortunately, it is sliding down so much because that strap is enormous, so I'd probably just do without it. But at least we know we can get all the accessories into his hands. So personally for me, I prefer the blaster in his hand, but yeah, I'm gonna take this backpack off, unfortunately. Yeah, I can't quite get it to stay on the way I want it to stay. If you guys at home have this and know any better ways to get it onto him, though, please do let me know in the comments, because I'd love to hear. Definitely could use any input you guys have or any advice about that. But as far as our Slash goes, I mean, this is a really solid figure. I'm really digging this one. It's a great version of Slash. Are there better ones out there? Debatable, but honestly, I think that every version of Slash is great. From any iteration of Slash too, because there's been Slash in different cartoons as well, and I don't really think there's a bad version. This one, again, very excellent version, and I definitely can give it a recommend. Great detail, great paint job. Everything about him is a knockout. And now before we wrap up this review, let me do one last thing, and I'd show you how the glow-in-the-dark feature looks. So it's been about 2 days since I filmed what you already saw, and I've been spending 2 days trying to get Slash to glow correctly. So you guys can see right now, you'll notice this part of his shoulder looks a little different compared to the rest of him. That's pretty much been the only part of him I've really been able to have much of a glow with. So I'm going to put him in my closet right now. We'll see if he does anything, but so far it's been a little lackluster, to say the least. Alright, lights off. You can already see a little bit of glow. Let's put him in the closet, and there is... Okay, so we do have some action in the foot. We do have a little in that shoulder. It's actually a lot in that shoulder. But unfortunately, the rest of the body's still not quite there. So I don't know what's going on with that. I mean, you can see the part that's glowing is pretty great, but the rest of his body just is not going with him. So I might do another experiment just to see if we can get him any better, but currently this is how the light-up feature is looking, and it's not the most exciting. Alright, we're trying this again. I've now had him this time, instead of sitting in natural sunlight, I've tried it with just, you know, home electronics, LED light bulbs. So let's see how this works in the dark now. And just absolutely nothing at all this time. So I'm not quite sure what's going on here, why we're having such problems with this. You know, I don't know how often Best Action has done glow-in-the-dark stuff, but, well, this seems like there's some room for improvement here. So, well, I will do my best to try and update you guys in the future as I try to get this thing to glow in the dark, but if you're buying it for that feature, you might be buying it for the wrong reasons. So let's get back to the review and conclude this video. So that's the glow in the dark, and that's our Slash. So again, thank you guys for watching. I'm Matthew. This has been Nerd News Today, and until next time, kick some shell. All right, so let's take a look now at our Casey Jones, and this is again the battle damaged version. Not just that, this is the variant of the battle damaged Casey Jones figure. So the other Casey Jones in this line will be similar sculpt, but the paint will be very different. This one here is predominantly black and white, meant to look more like the Mirage comics, the original comics, with the difference being, of course, the red, white, and blue paint that we're seeing for like the battle damage and for his mask, and also his sneakers, oddly enough. So the normal version you'll get out there in stores will just be his typical colors, a little bit more realistic colors, as opposed to this much more stylized one here. And that's also goes for the color of the accessories, as you'll see later on in this video, but that's really the big difference, is just whether or not you want to get him in those colors or in these colors here. So let's go ahead now and get just a general look at this figure, and it's pretty nice also. Again, like, you know, I prefer Casey Jones to look like the version in the cartoons more so. Plus, that original action figure was just so great. So this is going to be him. It's basically, you know, not as bulky, not as buff, and a lot more, I guess, realistic proportions as well. So it's definitely a look for Casey, and it's his original look, but it's going to come down to your personal preference if you want him looking like this or more like the Psycho he was in the original cartoon. Now, normally in this video, I would start by talking about the likeness, but in the case of, well, Casey, there is no likeness to talk about. It's basically a mask covering his face. So we can't really discuss much about the likeness because well, we really just don't know what it looks like underneath it. But I can tell you the hair is pretty nice. You can see right there, that's the back of how the hair looks with the mask. So the hair is fine. And the mask itself is pretty cool also. You know, it's not the typical hockey mask we're used to seeing him in. It's a different design for it. Nice paint job for the American flag that covers his face as well. So, you know, for the most part, it's very solid. I wish I could talk more about it, but it is just simply a mask with a paint job on it. That's about all I can say. But really, the fact that I've got nothing bad to say about that is also fine. It's not my ideal choice for a Casey, but it is a different look for him, and it's meant to be a different look. So it is what it is. I will talk about the paint job a little more, though, because that's one of the things that I would have focused on with the face sculpt. And I think it's a good time to bring it up now, too, as we look at the entire figure. And I think that the paint job on him is very excellent, and that's been across the entire Loyal Subjects lineup here. You know, they've all had really great paint jobs from top to bottom. Every part of them is just cleanly executed. Very little slop, if any, and that's a big deal, too, considering the price point of these figures. These are meant to be figures that are under $20, ideally in stores. You know, if you get them in stores, it should be closer to like 15, under 20 bucks. On other retailers, they'll go for a little bit more. But, you know, nothing really to complain about. You know, it just looks good across all angles. So, hooray for that. Great job, Loyal Subjects. One of the cool things about this toy is the battle damage, and that goes into the paint job as well. And so, where is that battle damage? Well, a bunch of different places. So we can already see it on this arm over here. We also have it clearly across that chest. You can see that big scrape on his chest there. We have some more cuts on his forearm over here. So we got 3 spots of battle damage. Nothing on his back at all. Actually, that includes his legs too. Nothing on the back. But we do have some cuts and some scrapes on his knees as well. So battle damage is not just limited to that one spot. It's across his entire body. So that part is really good to see. It's good to have that fact that, you know, we have these kinds of figures out there. And personally, I like when toys have the battle damage look, and it's so few and far between. There's not many companies out there that are going to show blood on their toys. Because, again, keep in mind, these are meant to be for kids, right? In theory, I mean, they might be adult collectibles, but they're still kind of kid-friendly. So, yeah, it's rare to get blood on toys, but it's nice to see it here. And other than that, I mean, the only place I can think of where you're going to get bloody figures nowadays is, for the most part, Jazzwares and their AEW line, and that's like the Blood and Guts sub-series. That's only available through Ringside Collectibles. It looks like for the first time ever, Mattel's going to do some bloody characters with an upcoming Defining Moments Mick Foley, but it's mostly just a bloody mouth. So getting damage like this, it's very rare, and it's honestly refreshing to see in some figures, and makes it feel a little bit more adult. Let's talk about articulation also right now. So should have the same amount as everybody else, and I feel like, you know, because he doesn't have as much crazy stuff going on, he should move a lot freer, and those 31 points of articulation will really be on display here. So you guys can already see the head is ball jointed, moves around very nicely and freely. We have ball jointed shoulder. It should be a butterfly joint in there. Yep, there it is. You guys can see now. Butterfly joint, so he could cross his arms, cross his chest a lot easier, get some more dynamic posing. We have double jointed elbows on both arms, so you can do some nice posing there. Unflex that. We have a wrist that can bend and flex, so great articulation on that. We have our chest that can move around very freely, and likewise the waist does move a little bit. So that's been something I've had a hard time seeing with the other figures in this wave, but the waist does move. Likewise with the crotch section, some okay articulation. There's some okay range of motion, but it's not the greatest just because of the way they do these. But we do have good flexibility for that thigh cut and the double jointed knee. Likewise, we have a really flexible, very flexible, I should say, ankle joint. So yeah, as far as articulation goes, this is definitely the best example of it in this wave for the entire series, and really as a representative of the entire Loyal Subjects lineup. So yeah, really good articulation there. I wish that they could get some higher range motion with the legs, but still moves otherwise pretty solidly. Now let's spend some time talking accessories here, and our Casey has a bunch of accessories. I want to start with some of the fun non-weapon ones though, and that would be things like this. So all the figures come with a Best Action sticker, and this one is pretty Rastafarian, I guess you could say. It's a little more trippy. Maybe not trippy, but you know, you got the green, yellow, and red transition with some nice paint there. So this is a cool sticker that all the figures get, and everyone's usually a little bit different. So that's what Casey came with. But I think my favorite non-weapon accessory is this trading card here. And all the turtles have come with trading cards so far, but yeah, in particular, I gotta just tell you guys, like as far as trading cards at toys go, man, nobody's beating Best Action these days. I mean, shiny metallic chrome look on them. This one has a really great illustration also. This is probably like one of my favorite illustrations of all the cards we've seen so far. But yeah, that metallic is just so spectacular. And the back of the figure basically has a, well, I just said it right there, the back of the card, I should say, is basically identical to the back of the figure in that it has the picture of the figure plus the same bio we saw earlier. But man, these are just great cards. I love that these are in there. A lot of times they feel superfluous and just not really worth having, but Best Action, when they do their trading cards, they do them right. This is the way they should be with all action figures that are trying to do this look. So in addition to that, we do have some other cool accessories here, and one of them is in fact an additional head sculpt. So like I said earlier, if you're not a fan of this version of the mask, you do have this one right here, and I actually am going to swap it out because I want to show you guys how easy it generally has been to do the head swaps. And I'm going to do it hopefully all on camera so you can get in there. Sometimes it takes a little bit more effort, but no, you heard the pop. That is the pop of success, and that right there is the Casey Jones head sculpt I'd much rather have on him. So I appreciate that Loyal Subjects recognize that not everybody's going to want to have this version on there, and they want more of the classic Casey head, and there you go, you guys get it right there. In addition to that, we also have this, which is his golf caddy. I don't really know what to call it, what the proper name is, because I don't play golf, but this is how Casey Jones always carries his weapons around, and likewise, you can get it onto his shoulder. Pretty sure you can get it across his head too. It'd probably be easier if I took the head off, but nah, you don't even need to do that. So there you go, that's Casey Jones. Now with the proper receptacle for his many, many other accessories and weapons there. So let's start loading him up, shall we? And I should add too, actually, before I do that, you guys can see our Casey has two open hands right now, two open fists rather. But in addition to that, he comes with a pair of closed fists as well. So he can actually just have fisticuffs if he wanted as well. But I don't want that because I want to put these accessories into his hands. Let's start with the classic Casey Jones cricket bat. And, you can't play cricket if you don't know what a crumpet is, right? So let's see if we can get this. All right, I guess we're going to do a hand swap. That's how easy that came out. But yeah, the weapon itself goes in pretty easily. That hand just came out unexpectedly, but they are in there firmly. You don't need to worry a ton about them, but that's Casey with the cricket bat. Didn't take that much work to get into his hand either, so that's good to have. In addition to the cricket bat, we also have a baseball bat with nails in it. That's hardcore. If you're wondering, yeah, we can just go ahead and slide them on into that, but I do want them in his hands because that's just better for Casey, right? So let's see if we can get this other weapon into his hand just as easily as the cricket bat went into his hand. And there we go. Yeah. He does have pretty small hands, I have to admit. Like they're rather small, surprisingly small, but you can get them in there with no problems. So there you go. That's your Casey Jones all decked out, ready for combat right now. So from head to toe, there's our Casey Jones. Good amount of accessories, great look for him. I'm digging the battle damage look. Like I said, I much prefer him with this mask on, not for the sake of being unpatriotic, just because I prefer the shape of that mask a lot better than this one here. I wonder if I can just stuff it to his, nah, okay, I can't actually really put it into there. Would have been fun if you could. But I will put the extra hands in there just to, so I don't lose those. But yeah, that's our battle damage version of Casey Jones. And it's a really great look for him. I wasn't actually sure I was going to like this black and white variant, but between the battle damage, between the weapons, between having this other head on, which I like so much more than that other helmet, like I've already said, this is a great looking version of Casey Jones. It's a little bit different than the typical version you're getting. So for that reason, I think it's worth adding to your collection. It's a nice variant and it has a lot of extra flavor to it. And that's what I'm liking about it. I'm liking that this variant gives me something different that the other Casey Jones haven't had. It's scratching an itch I didn't know that I had in the first place. So I like it. I like how it looks. I like how Casey has his little thing over here. And I should note too, while we've been having him standing up this entire video, he doesn't have a base. None of these Loyal Subject figures have peg holes. So getting them to stand up, you either got to do it or you don't. And even with this giant thing on his back, he's standing up with no problems. Yeah, I'm very, very impressed by that. And in case you're wondering how he looks next to some other figures, here's a Rocksteady that we also reviewed, Street Thug Rocksteady. He looks pretty solid next to him. Likewise, a more human character, here is April O'Neil next to him as well, so looking very good across the board. But overall, really liking this version of Casey Jones, and I think you are going to like him a lot too. And here's our Rocksteady now out of the packaging. This is really, really cool looking figure. I gotta admit, I was actually kind of on the fence about this when I first saw him. I was thinking he might be the weakest link of the four in this wave, but Rocksteady is actually quite nice to look at here. So that's just a little hard to keep standing though. Yeah, I was surprised actually. That's the one thing I noticed here was the fact that he is like a larger character. You think he'd be easier to keep standing up, and he is at times, but sometimes he's also a little bit floppy still, so it might just be a thing we have to work through as we get to the video, but he is standing up straight right now, and I should add too, this is an uneven table we're working on. So he's standing up without any support. For the most part, besides Turtles, all the best action figures tend to stand up really nicely. And keep in mind, he's probably a little bit extra unbalanced because he has this on his back, but I'm already actually impressed that he is able to stand up. You know, I was worried that he was having some issues there, but it looks like those have remedied themselves already. So let's start this video by talking about his likeness first. Does this look like a good version of Rocksteady? And I think it does. You know, I think the one thing that's a little bit different is he has like, it looks like it's bags under his eyes. I think that's meant to be just like either the fact that he has like really heavy eyelids, or it's meant to be just kind of like, what is it, like face paint around his eyes. But that's the first kind of noticeable thing to me is those big dark spots under his eyes. But again, I'm pretty sure it's just meant to kind of just be like face paint. So I think that's what he had. I don't remember if it's actually on the original toy or not, but I think he had face paint occasionally. So I'm going to go with that as a theory for what's up with that. But the face itself looks great. This looks like it is kind of like a combination of the cartoon look and the toy look, the original Playmates toy look. So really nice sculpting job. You know, I feel like humans are one of the things that they kind of struggle with a little bit, but when they have characters like this who have more angles and more pieces to their face, they, you know, most companies in general do really good, but Best Action in particular does a great job representing these types of characters, and this is a great version of Rocksteady. I like the little ears he has as well, so yeah, looking really solid, good paint. Yeah, this is some great stuff here with this Rocksteady. So let's spend a little bit of time now talking about this outfit too, and keep in mind this is Street Thug Rocksteady, so it's not the typical outfit we've seen him wear in the cartoons. So, you know, I'll do a quick little pan down. So it's got him in his I was going to say plants, but it's camouflage pants. That's more accurate. Camouflage pants. He has this nice little jacket because it's chilly outside. We got the bandolier of bullets and a grenade. And again, this jacket is really snazzy though. You know, I say that because it's got that nice little Foot Clan logo. So snazzy is not a word you'd ever really associate with Rocksteady, but for the sake of this video, I'm going to say it because why not? But it's a really solid looking outfit, and it still keeps a lot of the elements we are familiar with this character having, which is, of course, that color of the tank top he has, and the camo pants as well. You know, the camo pants are part of who his character is. So, you know, and also the strap with the weapons around it, with the bullets around it, rather. So it definitely is still Rocksteady. It just has this jacket here, which is going to be added bonus to one of the accessories that we get. And it really basically is what ties it together. So with that said, I do want to start talking about, I think, accessories right now, though I do want to also point out the paint job on this figure, too, is just a knockout. We'll see more of it as we go on, but it's very cleanly executed. And the fact that I'm talking so little about it really says how good it actually is, because I'm not complaining about it, I'm just acknowledging it as a great figure and a great piece. So let's talk about some accessories now, though, and we'll start with this right here. This is a Best Action sticker, and every single figure from their line comes with a sticker, and there's a few different variations of it. This is like the classic version, I believe, of it. There's also like a blue version that's more close to their logo, but this one's not that far off. Very nice colors, just cool. It's always nice to have a little extra bonus sticker with all your toys, right? In addition to that, we have this really great trading card. I'm loving all the trading cards that are coming with all of the Best Action figures, and the turtle ones are just like a step above everything else. So they have this like great chrome foil look around the border of it, which is nice. Wonderful image, wonderful cartoony image of the character. The back of the card is basically just the back of the packaging with a nice look at the figure again and a really solid bio. It's also, which is legible, which is very important because a lot of other companies, McFarlane, excuse me, make their cards very, very tiny with the font and their typeface, whatever. So yeah, you're getting much better trading cards here. But again, I'm really just all about that foil look, and that's so fun to see that back in action. Hooray for the return of foil trading cards. The 90s live again. So one of the most important accessories for this Bebop, though, is his alternate head sculpt. And that's right here. And it's not just any alternate head. As you can see, This is a human being version of Rocksteady. So we're gonna go ahead and do a head swap right now. And I should mention too, in addition to the extra head, we also have 4 additional hands. And that's 1 set for his human head over here, which we'll, I think, try to swap out. And he has 2 more hands for just him in his rhino form. All right, so that's the head more or less on. I don't think it's actually completely down, just because it is straight out of the package and I haven't heated this thing up at all. But you basically get the idea. That's how the human head is going to look on him. It's a good looking human head, I have to say. Looks pretty solid. All right. So as I mentioned, he does have additional hands here. We have a set of flesh-colored hands of this character. I'm not going to swap those out just because, I don't really think we need to, especially for the accessories that he has. In addition to that, like I said, he has 2 open hands for the mutant version of him. But we're mostly going to need these open fists to put accessories in, so we're going to stick with that. But, another important thing to note too, by the way, is underneath the head sculpt, we couldn't see it earlier because his head is like so big and covering it. But you can see right underneath it, it actually is flesh toned. It actually is the same tone as his skin. So I really admire what they did there to kind of like hide that as much as possible with the shape of this head and how it fits onto his body. So let's pop this head off again, and I think we'll stick with, for the rest of the video, the mutant head. Let's go ahead and get that back on right now. Actually, I just want to show you guys as I'm doing this, if you did actually want to get a little crazy, you can actually remove the bandolier, it looks like, and this from his back. Yeah, looks like you can. You could probably pop the arms out too if you really wanted to. I'm not going to, but if you did want to get rid of the bandolier for whatever reason, just make him only wearing the jacket, I think you could do that. All right, so we have the head back on our Rocksteady right now. And again, you can see now how much that really kind of hides the fleshy underneath, how much it hides the fleshy undertones beyond it. So, all right, let's talk about some of the weapons he has. Like I mentioned, 4 additional hands that you've already seen now. We also have 2 additional accessories we can talk about. First one being a machete. It's a nice looking machete. And can he hold it is the important question right now. Let's find out. And I believe it shouldn't be that big of an issue, but we'll slide it on into this hand maybe. Start with the handle is a little soft. None of these accessories are like super firm, and likewise their hands aren't super hard. So that has been an issue, I think, with a lot of the toys, is like getting the accessories in there, especially without like heating up the joints first. And I can tell you this one is being quite a pain in the butt right now. So I can see that it would fit if it was a little bit softer and maybe warmed up, but as it is, it's not gonna fit. But that's okay, because I do get to show off the scabbard across his back over here, and this should just fit right on in, and it does. So to be fair, I'm okay with it sitting in there just like that. But let's try his other accessory, because he has one additional thing here, and that's this big old weapon here. This is very similar to what he had in the cartoon, and also in toy form, just with a much better paint job. It's almost like a cross between like an M60 and like just all sorts of other different weapons. So I don't even know what it's meant to ultimately be, but let's see if we can just get into his hand right now, because that I'm more concerned with. And he doesn't have a trigger finger, interestingly enough. He just has these closed fists, but yeah, that actually goes into his hand very easily. You can see it right there. Looks pretty good. I think I do actually want to swap out this hand. I'll just show you guys how a hand swap looks on this character. Hopefully it's very easy, because that popped out like with nothing. Okay, well, that was like one of the easiest hand swaps I've ever done with these toys. Let's see if I can get him to actually hold it with both hands. That's kind of what I'm looking to do here right now. He is a very large character, so that could be a challenge, but he is pretty flexible. So more or less, yeah, I think I've actually got it. I'm going to call that a win, yeah. I'm going to say that's pretty much in his hand the way I was looking to get it. So that's great. And on that note, too, I think it's time to start talking about articulation a little bit, because we've already seen some of it here. And a reminder, this supposedly has 31 points of articulation. Well, we'll be the judge of that right now. So you already saw the head is ball jointed, because we easily were able to swap it out. We know that the arms are, there we go, ball jointed in the shoulders. There's a butterfly joint on all the other figures. It looks like he has that too. It's just kind of hidden because of his jacket. We have double jointed elbows on Rocksteady, which is kind of nice as well. You can see that now here. He does have rotating chest section. The waist, I don't know if that moves. The legs do have some good range of motion, but unfortunately, because of how big he is, he's not going to be able to lift him up higher than that. We got a thigh cut, we have double jointed knees, and we have the ankles that can, let's see, ankles actually looks like they don't rotate this time. Oh, no, okay, the ankles were missing that this time around. So that might be why I had some trouble getting him to stand up. No, okay, there we go. I'm wrong. I take that back. the rotation is actually different this time. It's only left and right, and it's just right there in the base of the shoe. So, all right, as far as articulation goes, that's pretty solid. You know, that's actually not that bad. Now, as of this video, there is no human version of Bebop to come with this Rocksteady, but I'm assuming that we're not that far off from getting that figure as well. So, you know, as far as versions of Rocksteady go, would I prefer this one over the classic? No, hard to say, but what I do like about this one is the fact that you get the human head. So to me, it's kind of like the rhino parts are almost like the accessories as well, and you know, they're selling it as Rocksteady with the rhino head, but really, it is very much more about the human head. So for that, I think it's worth getting, just so you have the human thug. Even if you don't call him Rocksteady in your display, he's just a cool thug to have, and he fits in with other 5-inch figures in this style. So it's a good figure, and I do like the way it looks. I like the jacket, I like the different colors for the outfit, I like the other accessories. So it's a good choice for a Rocksteady. I like this a lot. Yeah, you know, really not much bad to say about it. I don't think I have anything bad to say about it. And like I said too, as far as like paint goes and that kind of stuff, it's so clean. I've barely talked about it because I just have nothing to nitpick over. So if I got nothing and I'm just basically being quiet about it, that means it's really good. So final thoughts on the Rocksteady knockout figure. It's a great choice. I love all the different elements about it, and I think you're going to like this one a lot too. All right, and here is our April O'Neil now out of the packaging. And here's a quick, big, wide shot of how this figure looks, and she's definitely pretty diminutive compared to the other turtles. But she is still in scale, and just because I do have Slash here, just to show you guys as she flare-flops over, how she kind of looks as far as size goes, and you can see here, you know, definitely quite a bit of a size difference between the two of the figures, and that's correct. I mean, that's pretty much how they should look together. She is human, so therefore she is smaller, but just wanted to show you guys early on how she looks compared to those other turtles. Because it is something I kind of noticed pretty, you know, immediate as soon as I picked her up out of the packaging, is how small she looks. And you can see, I mean, look at how thin her forearms are and the rest of her body is. So she is quite scrawny, really. That's the best way to put it. I think she's a little scrawny. But again, she does fit in scale-wise, so at least it's accurate. But let's start taking a closer look at this April O'Neil now. Let's start with this head. And does it look like April O'Neil? Yeah, definitely does. Is it like an exact replica out of the cartoon? No, I wouldn't say it is, unfortunately. I think that NECA did a closer job of that, but again, this is a figure that's basically 2 inches smaller than what NECA did, so it makes sense. It wouldn't quite be the same size. But this looks really nice otherwise. Her hair looks enormous. I mean, granted it was the 80s, but her hair looks huge compared to like how the rest of her head looks. But as far as the face goes, I mean, it looks pretty good. I think the lipstick is the correct shade also. She had that kind of like signature pink shade that she had. Eyes are good, nose is good. It's a very nice sculpt, very fragile sculpt, I guess, very elegant. I don't think I want to use the word elegant here. I use that for a lot of reviews. It's more just very small feeling. And part of that is because her head is so huge, with that hair in particular. And the hair is great. I love the hair. I love it from every angle. That's pretty much perfect. I think I just wish that there was a little bit more detail in the face sculpting, because it is smooth. That's the word I'm looking for. It's very smooth feeling. And kind of lacks a lot of like more detail that I would have wanted to have had with it. But otherwise though, too, looking at the rest of the figure, we'll talk about her outfit now. That part they totally got. They got that banana yellow jumpsuit. They got like the orange bits, which you would have seen also in the original figure as well. You got a nice little press logo on her chest there too, which that you didn't get in the old days, I don't think. But lots of good detail on this. Good fabric look, you know, good texture to it. I like her little collar over here as well. Likewise too, if you look down at her pants, you got some little pouches on her. This is like a reporter jumpsuit, I guess. I never understood why it existed like this, but you know, it worked. It was very, very toyetic, and it still is. Even down to her really kind of silly boots, but they work. They do work. So good looking detail in the outfit as well. It's a very solid representation of April in the cartoon, and that is the important thing to keep in mind here. It is based on the cartoon look, but I think they got a good look here. I think the one thing that's also a little bit odd though is probably her proportions. And you can see she really has that like hourglass figure. Her butt is like really huge compared to the rest of her body, and likewise her chest is pretty huge compared to the rest of her body. It wasn't quite that big in the cartoons, I don't think, so maybe April's grown up a little bit, or maybe they're just really trying to appeal to a certain set of collectors. But I mean, for the most part though, if you ignore those kinds of things, I still think it looks pretty darn great. So it's a solid version of April. I'm pretty happy with this one. So let's just jump right in now to accessories, and April has a ton of things, really. She has a ton in this lineup here. The first thing being this nice little bonus that you get with every Best Action figure that you get. That's a sticker of the Best Action logo, and each one tends to be a little bit different. There's, you know, a few variations of it, and this one is more like a kind of like concrete look, which is really unique and interesting to her. One other thing she comes with that's not an accessory is this stellar trading card. All the Best Action figures get trading cards with them, and they do an excellent job. And these turtles are just, you know, a step above all the others. So it has this like great cartoon image of her to begin with, great cartoon portrait. But then we also have this like great chrome section all around the card. That's such a throwback to like the early 90s trading cards. I'm really into that look. And then we flip the card over and you'll see it basically has the same bio we got on the back of the packaging along with the same photo. But still, that's nice. It's just a simple trading card. They did it really well. If anything, I kind of wish the image of April was a little bit brighter because it does feel a little dark on this card, but information is there. I mean, the whole card actually looks a little bit dark, so maybe that's just a printing problem. But, information is there, good size, easy to read, and really, all that matters the most, though, is the front of this card, and that's just amazing. Great, great job there, Best Action Figures. Wonderful. And as far as accessories go, April has so many. This is all of them just shoved in my hand right now. So I guess we'll start with one of the more important ones here. That's an alternate head sculpt. So this April features a second head sculpt. This is more of like a surprised face for her. Surprised, like she's about to be kidnapped because that happens so many times. So I do want to do a swap it right now. Let's see how the head comes out. And I'm hoping the answer is very easily. All right, I think you guys heard that pop. That definitely is the pop of success. And here's how April looks now with this other head on her. And definitely a very surprised April. But still a very good looking head sculpt. Again, really no complaints. I think I actually prefer this head sculpt. It feels like there's just more detail and more expression in this one. So both head sculpts good all around. As far as which one you prefer, that is going to be a personal preference thing, but they're both actually pretty solid now that I've seen them both together. But if I had a choice, I would probably stick with that panicked one or whatever the expression is. I don't really quite know entirely what to call it. It can be a few different things, but it definitely does feel a little bit nicer because there is more emotion to that face. I probably should actually spend a little bit of time and talk about articulation real quick, just before we go into the accessories. So you already saw the head is ball jointed because it came out, really nicely and moves pretty nicely as well. The shoulders are ball jointed. They're ball jointed. There's a butterfly joint in there too, so she's got some good range of motion. You can see that right there. Elbows are double jointed, which is very handy for some of her accessories. The wrists can bend and flex. She has the chest section moves. Let's see if the waist, can't really tell if the waist moves, but yeah, at the very least the chest torso part, that the chest does. Her crotch section, we have a nice little ball joint for the legs there. This is about as high as her legs can go, by the way, this is the way it is. We do have double jointed knees, just like the rest of the figures, and same thing with the ankles. Ankles can rotate, and there you go. So that's her 31 points of articulation. For the most part, pretty solid, actually. Pretty good all around. So with that out of the way, let's start talking a little bit more about some of the accessories that she comes with. So April comes with an additional 4 hands here. So she has 6 hands total. The ones you see currently on her are just basically neutral, kind of open hands. I just noticed that wristwatch she has on, by the way. So we're gonna do some hand swapping here. And so what she comes with is a few different things. She has a much wider hand. She has 2 hands that are meant for like holding things, which would be like, we'll put one of them in, I think. Put this one in her left hand. In fact, we'll see how this goes. Hands have generally been very easy. Yeah, they're very easy to swap out. So she has 1 wide hand, 2 of these gripping hands, and then 1 hand that you're gonna see right now, which is kind of an interesting choice. She has a trigger finger hand. All right, we'll come back to that point in a few moments, but let's keep putting some accessories on her. So she has a bunch of really cool stuff, you guys. So one of the cool things here, unexpected, but nice choice, we get a headset for April. It looks a little bit awkward on her, unfortunately, because her hair is so huge, but we do have a headset. So, maybe some amount of playing around with it will get it in a better position, but, again, her hair is quite big. You can stretch it around her head. That's how that looks. It's a little funny, but kind of a cool accessory still, to be honest. I'm kind of liking it, even if it is a little funny looking on her. We'll leave it on her for the rest of the video. Why not? We also get a microphone, Channel 6 microphone, so that April can be on the scene reporting. The downside I can tell you right now is that it's a very squishy material, so be gentle with this microphone if you want to get it into her hand. There we go. And yeah, it actually has the Channel 6 logo on it, that's a really cool choice. She also has a camcorder, and it's a camcorder on a stick. So there we go. And because it is double jointed, because she is double jointed rather, she can actually get some pretty interesting poses with it. But we do have a camcorder, so there's how that looks. But most importantly, April's packing heat because she comes with a pistol, which I was like shocked to see that she came with a gun. But then I went back and I looked it up, I guess, and it's been a long time since I thought about it, but yeah, I had to look it up, and April O'Neil did in fact come with a handgun in the original Playmates toy. I think what it was is it actually like slid into her camera, so it was like a hidden gun hiding inside her camcorder. So yeah, April O'Neil is packing heat. I was so not expecting this, but you know what? It actually kind of fits. So that's how she looks. With that panicked head on, this just looks even sillier. But it does work. It actually does kind of fit. So you know what? I'll give him credit for throwing that accessory in there. It's a good choice. I like how it looks. It's got some decent detail on the weapon as well. So yeah, she's armed with her camcorder, her microphone, and her Colt 45 to seek the truth and fire at Foot Clan soldiers. So overall, the April O'Neil is very, very excellent. Great amount of accessories, good articulation, solid sculpting, really simple but good effective paint job. So across the board, it's just another really great Turtles figure from the Best Action Loyal Subjects lineup. Yeah, really good one. April's going to be one of those ones you want to look out for, because I'm hoping she's not going to be as scarce as she was back in the day, but it's definitely a very, very good figure and a must-have if you're getting the Turtles. You can't have the Turtles without April. So if you want to pick her up for yourself and add her to your collection, there's a few different places you can go to grab her, including Entertainment Earth, Big Bad Toy Store, or Amazon.com. And speaking of, I'm going to have some affiliate links in my description for this video for places you can pick up April that will help support this YouTube channel at no extra cost to you. So if you like this April and you like this review, I hope you consider using that link. This reporter is ready for some action, and she is ready to join your collection. I'd love to know what you guys think about her as well, so let me know in the comments your thoughts on this April O'Neil. All right, and here now are all 4 of the figures from this Loyal Subjects Best Action TMNT figure lineup. And check it out, you guys. I finally actually did get Slash to stand up. So, for all those issues I had with him initially, all I had to do was just kind of bend over a little bit more. It's not necessarily the most sightly, the most nice looking thing to do with him, but it worked. I'm not going to touch him though, because I don't want him to fall over. But yeah, you are able to get him standing without too many issues if you just bend him over a little bit more. It makes sense. It just took a little bit of extra work and time to do. But yeah, here are all 4 figures now in this lineup, and I gotta tell you, it's a really strong looking wave. Now that I see everybody all together, it's a very good looking wave. A lot of good looking figures here. I mean, the Rocksteady is gorgeous. April, of course, is excellent. I think one of the shockers for me was how good the Casey Jones actually was, because I like the Casey a lot more than I thought I would. And likewise too, Slash, another excellent choice, another excellent version of that character. So solid all around. And more importantly too, this is how they all look when they're standing next to each other, so you get an idea of how the scale is with everybody now. And it's really good looking, Now, unfortunately, I actually don't have any of the Turtles yet to join them. I have like one Turtle I looked at way earlier, which I can't actually find at the moment. And that was the Turtle, that's like the origin versions of the Turtles with them, with like a comic book packed in with them. It's a great series, but I need to now go ahead and I think get the rest of the Turtles, and there are some great options for it. There's now currently a street clothes version of all of them, plus just the classic version. And the nice thing too about all these figures is that they're all easily accessible. They're all very easy to find. Maybe not so much in stores, but you can track them down online without too much trouble, without having to pay crazy prices, I'd say, for the most part. And if you want to do that, you can go ahead and look for them on Big Bad Toy Store, Entertainment Earth, or on Amazon. And if you check the description below in this video here, you will find links for generally places you can find them. And if you pick them up using those links, it does help this YouTube channel at no extra cost to you. So I'm pretty happy across the board with all these toys, like I said. Really great versions of the figures, good representations, a lot of really cool parts to them. And one last thing I do want to do here before we wrap this video up, I want to bring in this figure for one last figure comparison. And there we go, I actually got him standing, thank goodness. So what we have right now in the background is the XL version of Krang in his android body. I reviewed him not that long ago, and I wanted to show you guys how he looked next to some other Turtles figures. Well, here you go. This is how he looks. He looks really great next to all of them as well. So yeah, this is just so cool seeing all these figures together. The variety of color, of shape, of design, of size, that's what made the Turtles line so good in the first place. And what makes these Best Action figures so good is the fact they can get such a variety as well for really affordable prices and way easier to find than, let's say, the NECA figures. And I love the NECA TMNT figures. I collect so many of them. But these guys are just so much cheaper to get and, frankly, a little bit easier. And because they're smaller and because they are meant to be more toys and less, kind of things you keep in package, they're more posable. You've got some more swappable heads. I feel like you don't really get that as much with the NECA Ninja Turtles. I think they're just easier to pose around and play with, so they're just a lot of fun. I definitely recommend them. And if you've been skipping out on this line, it's one that's worth looking into, because the Best Action figures do have a range of licenses in this same size. They're all in the same 5-inch scale. Being that they're smaller means they can usually put more accessories and not have to kill you on the price tag. They're better articulated. When they talk about the Best Action figures, they like to say that they're a disruptor in the market, and you can see now they really are. They're kind of doing their own thing, but they've really branched out and spread across so many different licenses. You got a lot of options. They're easy to get. They look great next to each other. So I really think it's a line worth investigating a lot more if you're an action figure collector. So really do check these things out. I like them a lot, genuinely do. Can't wait to see what else they're going to do, not just for the Turtles, but what else Best Action will do for other franchises. It's a line that has also, I'd say, improved a lot since day one, because day one when these things came out, they were kind of iffy, weren't quite great, or as great as I wanted them to be. But now looking at where they've gone to, where they've come from, where they are now, yeah, Loyal Subjects, you've been doing an amazing job, so keep up this pace, keep up this momentum, because you guys are doing a bang-up job, and I'm really happy to be able to finally show off a lot more of these on my channel. So until next time, I'm Matthew. This has been Nerd News Today. That's our look at 4 of the figures from the latest Ninja Turtles line from the Best Action series from Loyal Subjects, plus Krang's here too, because why the heck not? So thanks for watching. We'll see you guys here next time. Cowabunga, kick some shell, and let's go buy some toys.